You've been waiting patiently for the recap of Naresh Bhatt's hearing this morning, December 4th, so here it is. Just to catch you up in case you need it, Naresh Bhatt is the husband of Mamta Kafle, who went missing at the end of July of 2024. He was arrested toward the end of August. We were supposed to have a trial on the charge of concealing a dead body starting next week, but just this week on Monday, he was charged with murder and also defiling of a corpse. So we have 3 total charges that he's facing now, and this was the first hearing since he has been charged with those new charges. Now, today was supposed to be a pretrial hearing for the trial that was supposed to start on the charge of concealing a dead body, but it was not, because we are not getting that trial. So today ended up being a joint continuance request. Both the prosecution and the defense agreed that they want to just combine all 3 of the charges into one trial, and they need more time to prepare. So the speedy trial law in Virginia means that Naresh is entitled to go to trial within 5 months of the indictment. That would put his trial having to start no later than May 2nd. However, unlike last time, Naresh waived his right to a speedy trial today in court. So instead of going to trial before May 2nd, they are going to trial September 8th, 2025. They actually set the dates of the trial today. So backing up, let's go to how this whole thing started. Naresh walked into the courtroom and his demeanor was very different today than it has been during other hearings. In every other hearing, he has shuffled because he's in leg shackles, shuffled in, looked just straight at, the table where he's sitting at his attorney, doesn't look at anyone else, doesn't look at the gallery, doesn't look at the prosecution. And he has been very just expressionless and stone-faced throughout every single hearing that I've seen him in. Today was different. He walked in, he turned his head, he looked at the gallery, looked at all of us sitting there. The court was full today, like it has been, full of Mamta supporters and reporters. So he looked there, then went and then looked down, at his lawyer, sat down. The judge started the proceedings and went through the whole continuance thing. And she asked him, she said, "Mr. Bhatt, you are now being charged with homicide. Do you understand this?" And he shook his head very quickly like this. And then they actually had to stop the proceedings. And so the interpreter and Naresh and his lawyer all conferred and spoke. So as they were conferring, Naresh put his head in his hands like this, shook his head like this, like he did not like what he was hearing from his lawyer and the interpreter is how it looked to me. This lasted for, maybe half a minute. And then Naresh's attorney, told the judge like, "Okay, yeah, we're good." The judge asked it again and he said yes. Then the judge got into the whole speedy trial thing. And again, once she, said, "Do you understand that you're waiving your right to a speedy trial?" Naresh, his lawyer, and the interpreter had to have another conversation. And she's like, "Listen, this is very important, that you understand this." And then eventually, through the interpreter, he said yes. Now, the trial I mentioned is starting September 8th, 2025. It is scheduled to go to October 3rd. That is going to be 16 trial days. So the initial trial was only supposed to be 6 days. This is going to be 16 because we're dealing with a murder charge. 1st degree, by the way. Oh, the other big news that we learned is that Court TV has sent a letter wanting to televise the trial. So that's going to be a whole other issue. The defense made it clear they do not want the trial televised. It sounds like, there's a statute in which trials can be televised, but Prince William County has not done that in a number of years. In fact, I do believe that the Lorena Bobbitt trial was the last one that was televised, and it became such a circus that they're like, "We don't want to do that again." So we can expect a hearing on that issue coming up. So we may get this televised, we may not. It really just depends on how that hearing turns out. We also learned that discovery is due from the Commonwealth on February 18th. And that means that we might not see any more hearings between now and then, because Naresh's attorney said that there's not really a purpose until he gets the discovery. Like, he doesn't know what the Commonwealth has, so there's nothing really to have a hearing about except for potentially this, court TV issue. So that's up in the air right now. They did schedule a status date on March 20th. So that's the next official day that we're going to be back in court as of this moment. And the judge said she's also going to be speaking to the Virginia Supreme Court about the interpreter issue to make sure that we have enough interpreters on hand, because this is now going to be stretching out into next year. So that's hopefully going to get resolved. But yeah, it was a very quick hearing, only about 15 minutes, nothing in terms of evidence, but a lot in terms of Naresh, the way he looked, and what we're looking at going forward. So I know this is disappointing to a lot of you that this is being dragged on. But we got the extra charges, which I think a lot of people were also hoping for. So, you got to take the good with the bad, and that's what's going on right now. Oh, and I'm going to do another podcast episode kind of wrapping up everything that we've been talking about over the past several months, because I've done 2 on Mamta's case, and the second one was right after he got arrested. So I'll do an update one that kind of goes over basically everything in my notebook that we've been talking about since then. So keep an eye out for that.